What's up, everybody? It's Rob from Sage Tower Games, and I'm back. Yes, finally back to make some more Marvel Champions content. I know it's been a while since the motives came out, and then things got really crazy for me. I started to make some videos of that, but lots of stuff was going on, so I didn't have a chance to really make the content for you guys. However, I'm back, and I'm trying to make content for Marvel and catch up. There's a lot to catch up on. I still need to finish reviewing Sinister Motives. I need to give you guys content of me playing Sinister Motives. But before we get to all that, I got recently this week the two new packs. I got Ironheart and Nova. And for those that aren't aware, the way that Fantasy Flight is doing their hero packs from now on is instead of releasing one every month, they're gonna release two in the same month at the same time. So I guess it's probably saves them shipping costs, maybe, if I have to ship it every time by packaging it together. That's my guess. I don't know. But with that, we're going to start off with Nova, otherwise known as Sam Alexander himself. Now, we looked at him a bit when we got the announcement for him, and he was all about using that wild resource for stuff. So that's the thing that he was really big about. So 3 recovery. Spend 1 resource of any type to search your deck or discard pile for the Supernova helmet. Add it to your hand. Or put it into play instead if you pay for it using a wild resource. So if you use a wild resource to get the helmet, you can put it into play straight on. Of course, Nova, 1 threat, 1 attack, 2 defense. After you use any of your basic powers, you ready the helmet. 5 hand size, 10 hit points. Pretty standard in that regard. His signature ally is Miss Marvel, who obviously is a hero we already have. She has a show coming out on Disney Plus as well, so lots of Miss Marvel love going on. 3 cost ally, 1 threat, 1 attack, 3 hit points, champion, inhuman. After you play an event, exhaust Miss Marvel and deal 1 damage to her. Return the event to your hand. Now, that's really cool because it's kind of like her ability, the actual hero ability, where she exhausts to kind of put the event card back into your hand after you play it. It's the same thing here, where she actually allows you to get an event back. So if you have a really useful event, it may be more worth it to keep it back into your hand rather than than do 1 throw and 1 attack. Speaking of 1, force field projection. When a friendly character will take any amount of damage from an attack, prevent 3 of that damage. If you pay for this using a wild resource, deal 3 damage. So 1 to block 3. If it's a wild, you deal 3. That's really good. And it doesn't have to be the same enemy that did the attack either. That's a key thing to note as well. So you could block the attack from a villain and punch into a minion to defeat the minion before the minion gets a chance to even attack. And we have 2 of those. Lightspeed Flight. Double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. We've seen this quite a bit. Lots of cards that if you pay with a wild resource, it actually ends up doubling the cost. So essentially, 1 wild counts as 2 for this card. And you've removed 3 threats. So that's a 1 for 3 basically if you play it correctly. And we have 3 of those. Pot Shot is the same thing. 1 for 4 basically, which is a good cost. And the whole point is you should be using wild resources and not 2. 2 for 4 isn't that great of a signature card. Really. But 1 for 4 is. And of course, 3 of those. Unleash Nova Force is your big boom move. 1 cost. Until the end of the round, each time Nova defeats an enemy or removes the last threat from a scheme, ready Nova and draw 1 card. This allows you to go combo crazy and just you defeat someone, you boom, ready draw a card. Defeat someone, boom, ready draw a card. Why does this matter? As you saw, Nova's hero ability, whenever he uses a basic power, he readies a helmet, which, as we know, generates the wild resource for him. So the helmet generates the resource to pay for all those events. You unleash an event, boom, takes an enemy. Draw a card, ready yourself, ready the helmet, and just keep going. So, and we get 2 of those. Connection to the World Mine. Now, this is an interesting card because connection to the World Mine basically means it's a wild resource that doesn't count towards your hand, so you can keep it in your hand until you have to play it. So this pretty much means you have that wild resource whenever you need to. You got 2 of those. You have Jesse Alexander. Alter Ego action. Exhaust Jesse Alexander. Shuffle 1 copy of Connection to the World Mine from your discard pile into your deck. Okay. So basically, it's a 2-cost support. If you flip down, it essentially allows you to draw that card, or put it in that draw, but put it back into your deck to get that wild resource back into your deck. And of course, Supernova Helmet, exhaust, generate to get a wild resource. That is self-explanatory to be your main engine card, if you will. So that's a pretty good overall in that sense. Now with that, we're gonna hop on over. He does come with the aggression set. And let us take a look at the aggression cards that come with him. And I'm actually gonna just shiver this down a little bit for myself. So with that, the Locust, 2 cost, 1 threat, 1 attack, 2 health. Play only if it has the champion trait, which I believe all of these heroes in the new this cycle has. After the Locust enters play, add 1 aggression event from your discard pile to your hand. We've seen this. We have other characters like this. I believe Black Panther does it for leadership. I forget the android that does it for protection and so forth. We see these type of heroes. We have 1 for all the different aspects at this point. So that's kind of a very cool thing. Is it worth it? Maybe. I don't know. This one adds it to your hand as opposed to puts it underneath them. Bit different, but aggression kind of wants to be more aggressive anyway. Chase them down, we've seen before. Pitchback is a new card. 1 cost event. Play only if you have the aerial trait. After your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. This is an interesting card. Yes, it's an aggression card that deals more damage, but it gives aerial a better effect. 1 for 4 isn't that bad. And you think of heroes like, obviously, Nova, who gets aerial from his helmet. You know, Doctor Strange gets aerial from his cloak. Thor gets aerial from his hammer, Mjolnir. And Iron Man gets aerial from, I think, if you activate his boots properly. So these kind of quick ways to get aerial, suddenly those characters in aggression get even better. Although Thor was already good in aggression to begin with, so it didn't really need much help in that regard. No Quarter requires 1 physical. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. For each point of excess damage dealt to that enemy by this attack, discard the top card of your deck and add each aggression card to your hand. I guess it's an okay card. 2 for 4. But if you do more damage and if 4 damage is overkill, you basically get to discard cards and draw any aggression cards from that. Is that worth it? I don't know. That needs proper testing, because it depends on your deck. So if your deck doesn't have a lot of aggression cards, you figure you need to have a good amount of aggression cards in your deck to properly do it, and you can splash between your signature cards, basic cards, other stuff like that. You can make it so where you don't actually have overwhelming aggression cards. So 1 by 1, you get 2 damage to an enemy. If this attack defeats the enemy, do 2 damage to an enemy. So that's actually a good card for certain matchups when you have a lot of trash minions. Ultron drones, even maybe the goblins to a degree. Like even like all the ones that have like 2-3 health minions, able to pick off these like smaller minions is a good way to do this, and without having aggression have to blow those 5-6 damage attack moves on someone who doesn't have anywhere near that amount of health, doesn't need it. Off aggression, we've seen fluid motion. After you play an attack event, exhaust this card, your hero gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. It's an okay card. Now, the reason why this card works is this card works for like Quicksilver aggression, maybe Nova aggression. These kind of heroes that are going to attack multiple times in the same turn to really get the benefit. That's where you get the benefit from this card. If your hero isn't attacking, 2-3 times, it's probably not worth it. You'll probably also be, maybe adding in battle furies and stuff like that to ready yourself in the process. So it's an okay card, but I wouldn't not blow me away either. Hone Technique. 3 cost upgrade, 1 per player, double mental required, and that's a lot. When you play an aggression attack event, if you pay for that event using a mental resource, increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. Wow. Okay. That, I have to do the math for that one. See the mental resources and what events have mental resource, how much mental is in aggression. But I know there's a lot of 2 cost, 3 cost upgrades, attack events, that if all it takes is you to pay a mental resource and you can get 2-3 more damage on each attack, Reckless Assault will do 7 damage. The one that does I forget the one that does the thought, the name of it. That would do 9 damage. Fusillade would do 7 damage. So that's a very good upgrade. That card is nice. That card is the first card that actually makes me go, ooh, that's a nice card. Moon Girl, who I assume was from the last one, because there was a picture for on that 1 by 1 card. 3 cost, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 health, double thwart, double attack. Play only if you have champion or genius. After you play Moon Girl, draw 1 card for each mental resource used to pay for her. Okay, so you can actually technically draw 3 cards if you pay 3 mental for her. That's pretty good. That's actually a little. I mean, the stats are kind of not really good, but it's basically a free minion at that point. So can't go wrong with that. Everyday Hero. While your identity has the civilian trait, this card can be spent for any player and gained after you spend this card for a player, heal 1 damage. So basically, if you are in alter ego version and you're a civilian, you can spend this card to heal one person from 1. Doesn't matter who. Otherwise, it's just a wild resource at that point. Next up is the Champion's Mobile Bunker, the 2-cost support, champion vehicle. Exhausted, choose an identity with the champion trait, so it doesn't have to be you. The player who controls that identity may draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. So essentially, you cycle out 2 cards. Now, if you're playing solo, obviously you only put it in if you're playing champion. I probably wouldn't have it in if you weren't both playing champions in multiplayer. I feel like it's kind of a waste. Unless you're the person playing champions and for some reason you need to cycle cards, I guess. It's a good card to cycle, but I don't see how much useful it may or may not be. Obligation. Weight of the world. While this card is in play, Supernova Helmet cannot ready. So obviously we've seen this is his main helmet, his main engine. It stops him from using it. Exhaust, and all you gotta do is flip down and exhaust, basically. So not a terrible cost for it, but can be a pretty devastating if you're not careful of it. Bring the war. Give me one moment. All right, this should be a bit better for the actual card now. Bring the war. Side scheme. When revealed, each player discards one card they control with a printed wild resource. For each card discarded this way, place one threat here. So it's not terrible. Obviously with Nova it can be a bit rough, but overall that's not that bad of a side scheme. Nowhere near as bad. Warbringer himself is a Chitauri brute. 1 scheme, 3 attack, 5 health. When he attacks you, he gets +1 attack for that attack for each card with a printed wild resource in your hand. Now that's bad for Nova because Nova's gonna probably have a lot of them in his hand, especially if he has those connection to the world mine and all that stuff. War delivery. You may spend a wild resource. If you do not, the villain and Warbringer each attack you, even if you are in alter ego form. Now, this is interesting. There's also a boost effect to place 1 threat on the main scene for each wild resource in your hand. Now, what's interesting about this card is if you're playing multiplayer, it doesn't specifically have to be Nova. It can be whoever draws this. So, and you may not have that wild resource to cover it, so you could get punched by both people or by just the villain, even in alter ego, which is probably because you're probably going to have to heal anyway. So that's dangerous. That's mixed up for the other weak cards. And then the war's been brought. Surge. Discard X cards from the top of the encounter deck, where X is equal to the total number of printed wild resources on cards in your hand, cards under your control, and cards in your discard pile. So basically every card that's not in your deck, essentially. You lose that many cards from the encounter deck for each wild resource. Alright, it's a bit of a burn. Not terrible, it can be a bit rough depending on the scenario, definitely. Your Enroll is the Justice card that comes with it. Same thing, kind of like Pitchback. One cost, remove 3 threat. And that's a good 1 for 3 is really good. As we discussed before about all the different aerial ways to get aerial, this makes aerial beneficial and useful. Height advantage, 1 cost upgrade. While your identity has the aerial trait, reduce the amount of damage you take from each enemy attack by 1. When your turn begins, discard this card. So this is a good card to play. Like if you're gonna get hit by a bunch of attacks, you play it. It gives you 1 less from all the attacks. If the minions only have 1 attack, the minions do nothing basically. So that's good in that sense. And those are the aspect cards. However, we are not done yet. Nope, we are not done. Hold the phone. So, what they've been doing recently in hero packs is they are adding in each hero pack another module set. Another little account set just to mix in stuff and give you more module sets. Why? I don't know. There's a lot of them already out there. It's a bit weird, but I'm okay with it. So for this one, we got the Armadillo encounter set. Each Armored Assault is the side scheme. Each enemy with a tough status card gets +3 attack. That actually can be scary depending on the scenario. And because some people get tough quite easily. And that means a tough gives them a +3 attack right away. Depending on when the cards come out. Like if it's mid-attack, that can be pretty scary. Armadillo himself. I want to check this one. toughness, can have any number of tough status cards, so he can just keep getting tough on him numerous times. 1 scheme to attack, 8 health. That's a lot of health. After he activates against you, give him a tough status card. So every time he activates, he re-toughs up. He's going to be a hard one to beat down. Rolling. They see me rolling. Attached to Armadillo. If he's not in play, find him, put him into play, and attach this card to him. +2 attack. So that makes him a 4 attack. And while he has a tough status card, you cannot defend against his attacks. You have to take it. See, he's not villainous, is he? Just want to make sure. No, he's not. So it's a 4 damage you have to take. Tough and Tumble. When revealed in Alter Ego, each enemy with a tough status schemes. If nobody activates, Surge. In Hero, any enemy with a tough status card attacks you. If nobody activates, this card gains Surge. Tough it out. Give Armadillo and the villain each a tough status card. If 1 or fewer tough status cards were given this way, this card gains Surge. So basically, if the Armadillo isn't in play, then it surges basically. And that's it. But the little encounters are all based around tough, interesting mechanic, but kind of cool to have it in there. So with that, what do we think about Nova? Now, I like the idea. I talked about it a bit when we first saw Nova in the release. And Nova is an interesting... He has a lot of cheap cards. You want to play a lot of different cards with him. And you want to use the wild resource. I think he's a fun way to use aerial, use wild. I think it's a fun hero. Like, originally, I wasn't blown away by the idea of him, but he's not bad. It gives us a hero that originally, like I said, Nova wasn't someone I was overly excited about when I heard the announcement. But seeing what they did with him, I thought maybe he would be like a weird Captain Marvel spoof. Not spoof, but like very similar playstyle. But he's not. He's definitely a lot different, a lot more interesting. And I think could be a lot of fun to play. I haven't had a chance to really test him out yet. But overall, I think he's definitely a really cool character. For those of you that have already played Nova, let me know how he is down in the comments below. I'm curious to see what your experience is with him. Definitely want to hear about it. So let me know. While you're down there, be sure to like this video, subscribe, check out my other videos, as well as my live streams when I am live on Twitch and YouTube. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Thank you.